Hello to everyone listening and everyone who's going to listen in the future. So in this video, I'm going to speak about what channeling is, how I use it, and how it helps me to heal myself and to heal people. So channeling is a form of gaining information in a way that is unfamiliar to most people because you don't need to read or use your senses in order to gain access to this information. And when we channel, we come to realize that information is non-local, meaning that we see a chair and we see it in space, and that to us then makes us understand that the chair exists. But with channeling, I go into a trance state, which I'll explain in a little bit, and in that trance state I'm able to understand what's happening in a space that is far away from me, so I can tap into someone's higher self, which is an aspect of themselves that can give me the knowledge about what that person is doing, and that person could be 1,000 miles away from me. And when I go into a trance state, what I do is I'm able to experience the information as pure energy, because all information is pretty much energy. Like when we see the chair, we then take the visual perception or impression of the chair into our heads. It's converted into electrical energy, and eventually our brain creates the image of the chair, and then we associate with chemical information what the chair is from our past associations with using a chair. And so in this way we can see that information that we get from the outside world, the external world, is brought into our bodies as energy, and that's how our brain is able to understand what it actually is. And so when I channel, I'm able to access information and access the information that we would see in the external from a space of non-locality. So I don't need to be in the space to understand what's going on. And this is also the case for internal messages. So say someone's going through a difficult time and they're sad or they're angry. If I were to connect to someone's higher self, like in a channeling session, I might be working with someone and they want me to understand, how's my sister doing? How's my mum doing? And I ask kindly if that aspect of that person that they want to communicate with would like to step through. And a lot of the time they do step through. So I'll say, for instance, can X's mother please come through if you would like to? And instantly I can feel what that woman is experiencing, what's happening in her body, what's happening in her chakra system, what's happening in her energy body. And from there we can understand, okay, how can we best help this person, or what message do we need to send to this person, because clearly they're not in a state of abundance. Or maybe they are in a state of abundance and we go, oh my God, your mum's doing amazing. I want to connect to her more. Your mum's higher self, X's mum's higher self, please step in whenever you would like. You're a fun person to be around. And that means that the person is doing okay, and I can feel that and sense that from this space that I'm in. And so how do I actually channel? Well, I go into a trance state, and I think that as I came to realize that I am able to channel and I'm able to access information non-locally, I realized we are all forms of channels. Like when we create music, or when we make a drawing or something, and we allow our ego to get out of the way, we allow a divine energy to step through into us and work through us, and we become a channel for that energy. So I don't know if anyone's ever created something and stepped back and gone, I don't know where I was, but I was fully in that moment, just allowing this to work through me. And that is essentially a channel as well. But for my channel, the way that I use it is I use it to help other people to understand what's happening to someone in their life or within their field. And I'll come into what field is in a second, in order to help them to go through whatever they need to go through. So what a field is an energy field. Like we all have an energy field around us. And if you research bioenergetics, there are scientists which actually look at this field of energy around us, and depending on the person that you are, the way that you eat, your bioenergy field changes and shifts. And I do a lot of exercises, breathing exercises, to clear my energy field, as well as energetic exercises, so I visualize in order to clear my field. And for a lot of people, they have energies in their fields that they don't necessarily want. So for instance, they might have the energy of anxiety or depression, and that's not their essence, which is light. It's a thought form that's in their field and has identified with them. And for many people, they identify with the thought forms because we haven't been taught that we are not our thought forms. And so when I go in someone's field, sometimes I start hearing these thoughts coming into me, and I know it's not mine because I'm very aware of the thought forms that are in my field and aware of the silence beneath my field. So I've done a lot of meditation to anchor into that silence inside of me, so I know when someone else's energy is impressed onto mine. And that's just done with becoming aware of who we are and what we are in essence. And a really good exercise to do is to wake up in the morning, and before you think about anyone, just feel how your body, your mind, your energy feels in that moment. Because as soon as you think about someone else, you're connecting with their energy. You're connecting with that non-local energy and information that they send out into the universe that you then receive, which means you could absorb their energy. So if you were feeling fine when you woke up and then you felt anxious and you don't remember that you thought of someone, then you might spend the whole day holding that energy of sadness and anxiety that that person was holding, and you don't realize, oh, I picked that up from them, that's not mine. But we take on a lot of responsibility of other people's energy, and it depletes us. And so the more energetically aware we become of ourselves, the more power and sovereignty we have over the way that we feel. And so when I channel, I describe to people what I can feel in their field, what I can feel in their bodies as well. A lot of the time when I channel, I have what you call empathic overload. And so I can feel what people experience in their bodies. Like I had a phone call and we channeled with a friend of mine the other day, and I said, oh my God, your shoulder really hurts. And he said, yeah. And I said, it's really annoying me. We've got to do something about this because my shoulder really hurts. It's quite an interesting perspective on reality, because you realize that we aren't bundles of flesh and fiber that are disconnected from the rest of the world. We are all connected and all linked. And when I channel, I realize that this web of information, this web of connection that we have between us is fully accessible, and we can work with it to understand what's happening inside of us, what's happening to people around us, and how do we go forward. And when I channel, I also bring in my spirit guides, which are higher dimensional beings, and they help me to navigate through someone else's field or through my own. So their navigation basically works with them working with the spirit guides of the person that I channel for, in order to allow me to see messages and to hear messages that are meant for the person that I'm working with. So when I channel, I don't remember anything when it's gone, because that was for them. Even my own channel, if I don't write it down, if I don't record myself, I forget what I've heard for my own healing journey. And that's because when you channel, when you're in a trance state, the ego mind that has memory and that has an ability to create an identity is completely removed. It's like, imagine a tube is created, and in order for that tube to be clear, you've got to wipe out all the dirt and you've just got to remove yourself. And so the feeling I get is really just my body becomes that vessel for this divine channel, or this space where I can be in that receiving end of this web that we're all a part of. I can be in the receiving end of the web, as opposed to being the individual in the web. I can just watch it and understand it. So when I'm working with my spirit guides, they give me messages and they give me information, and it helps me to navigate my healing or someone else's healing through metaphor. And what's interesting is that metaphors impress on our brains much more strongly than if we were to lay things out as A, B, and C. Like, do this because of this. But if you say, okay, I'm going to give an analogy and I give you a story, we tend to remember those things. Like in the book Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari talks about how in the beginning humans learn to understand their world through storytelling and imagination, and that's why we are so inventive and creative and have gone so far as a civilization, because our creativity and our ability to imagine is so strong. And so when I'm channeling, I get sometimes very ridiculous and funny images, but it's because that image is helping the person I'm working with to understand what they're going through in a more lighthearted, more analogous way. So it isn't, you are feeling sadness, A, B, C. It's more, I see maybe animals, or I see a situation that they're in, and it's very rapid, the images that I see. So in terms of interpreting it, it just has to be recorded, or the person has to just feel the energy coming through and then listen to the recording to understand what is it that I can gain from these images. And what's interesting about animals coming through is animals have symbology and have symbolism. So every animal that comes through, it means something, or it could be one of your spirit animals, though not always. Sometimes animals just come because they have a certain meaning that they inhere, which allows us to understand the situation the person's going through more easily. And so what else can I say about channeling? How does it help people to heal? Well, it helps people to heal because these messages that are coming through from your guides, from your angels, from your higher self, these are beings operating at a higher dimensional frequency. And that might sound like a esoteric word, and all that means is So when we're feeling sad, when we're feeling low, you know, you can feel in your body you're heavier, your breath is more shallow, you may be curved in, and the feeling of energy is dense. I don't know if you ever felt that you've been with someone or you've been with yourself and you feel heavy and you feel like the weight of gravity is really pulling on my earth suit right now. But if you're feeling light, if you're feeling high, if you're feeling happy, you got your chest out and you've got your eyes wide and your gaze up, and you feel the energy of lightness. Your body feels light, you feel energized. And so these beings, these higher dimensional beings, they are beings that exist at higher dimensional frequencies, which is why a lot of us can't connect with them, because we are on Earth at a three-dimensional frequency where things are dense and we experience a lot of density in our lives. You know, there are many different media outlets and different conversations that are had and different things going on in the world that are locking in that density. But there's also an abundance of light, and an abundance of light in the conversations we can have, the things we can look at, Mother Nature, so many places, so many things. And these high dimensional frequency beings, when they are channeled through me and they give you the information, or the person I'm working with, the information to understand what they're going through, they are bringing through that high frequency of light information, and you can feel that as you speak. Like, I don't know if you've ever spoken to someone and you've had a conversation, and just hearing their voice, hearing the sound of their voice puts you at ease and you feel calm and you feel relaxed. That's because the words, they're irrelevant at that point. You are hearing and experiencing the energy that they're able to bring through, able to channel for you to feel that way. And so words don't always matter. It's really what is behind them. And we are so used to, as a society, trying to understand meaning and trying to understand the language symbology, and we don't exist in the feeling body enough. But when we exist in the feeling body, you realize, oh, my energy feels really good right now. I don't know what they're talking about, and maybe I don't even really care. I feel really, really good. Or, wow, this information is really important, I should really understand, but I'm so tired and I'm drained and I feel frustrated now. And we sit there and we go, yeah, but it's interesting, it's important, but that's our minds and not our heart saying, for instance, if it's about myself, Mika, get out of here now, get out of it, it's done, you're not interested anymore, you don't want to be here. And I've gotten much better as I've become more energetically sensitive since my kundalini awakening, which I explain in my previous video, which I'll put a link in the description below. But after my kundalini awakening experience, I became very sensitive to energy and to realizing, oh, we are energy beings, and even though we don't realize it, we're all tapping into energy all the time and channeling. And when you realize you're an energetic being, you realize that you have power over your thoughts and your energy, because when someone impresses their energy on you, you don't need to hold it, because you have your own field that is buzzing and vibrant and beautiful and as clear as you want it to be, and no one needs to affect that if you are energetically sovereign. So that's all I have to say about channeling today. I'm sure that I feel like in the next video, in the next few videos, I'll talk a little bit more about my trance channel, perhaps my spirit guides, and about what can be gained through understanding the world in different ways. But for now, just understanding that channeling opens us up to the fact that information is non-local, and that we can experience information as energy, which we do, because all information, all sensory information, it's all energy. And when we have the power to understand energy like that, or information like that, we have the power to become sovereign over ourselves and to heal. And the more open we become to healing and the process of healing, the easier our lives become. Because, you know, in the Daoist philosophy, they say, be like water. And water is so effective. It carves through mountains. It feeds us all. It's so abundant. It's so incredible. But water flows through anything. It flows into any vessel. It's the hardest and toughest substance, as it can carve through rock. And yet it's the softest and most supple rock. And so the less resistance we have, or minimizing our resistance to information and to different ways of seeing the world, leads to so much growth and so much strength. Because when we stop resisting, we start to just feel and sense and know what is best for us. Because when we're in our minds, when we're resisting, we aren't allowing our heart to actually receive the information that may be coming through. So thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a wonderful day whatever you are doing. Thank you. Mwah.